That was the wrong microphone. There we go. Ha 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 ha. Oh, all right. Let's see if we can figure out where the hell we were in this project, because we haven't done anything here in like a decade. And it was in the middle of not working, and I don't know where it is not working or why, or where I was even doing anything or anything really. So yeah, that'll be great. Basically. More or less. That's what's happening. So, where the frick am I? They set to hit. There we go. And lower that. Play. Right. So, it doesn't work very well at all. That's cool. And if we open up the inspector, we have test variables here that if we set them to, I think it needs to be negative 0.5. Then it kind of works. Like, it doesn't really work, but it kind of works, as you can see. And it also has, it's incapable of having a center right now, which I don't know if that might be bad. I don't know if a tile should be even or an uneven value in terms of size. Do I want, because it's like either you have a center or you don't have a center. You can only choose. But it's rather you have to have a center or you have to not have a center, kind of. I'm not sure. But it's all fucked. Nothing works, so that's good. That's cool. Here, this is where we are doing the CS test bar thing. Because we are fetching triangles. We're fetching 4 triangles. And each triangle needs to be subtracted because what I'm getting here is stored vectors, or vertex positions rather. I'm just thinking, like, I'm already seeing like problems, which is sad. But this needs to simply be pushed back. But really, I do think it's as simple as just minus. We say float 3 offset equals no, it's just one float offset equals minus 0.5. And then each of these just need plus offset dot xxx. And then we can get rid of that. But I don't know if it's accurate, because it's still fucked up in many different ways. But like, this actually works, right? But there's so much here that doesn't. As you can see, we don't get any smooth terrain. It's just all really, really rough terrain. And the edges don't work at all. So for the first question is, why is it all or nothing, right? Because it shouldn't be. It should be smooth. We can worry about the annihilated sides there later. But this is what we need to fix. Because you can see it actually works. Like here it kind of works, and then here it stops working. For whatever reason. But it also says voxel volume 0, and here it says voxel volume 7. So it's just somehow not binding together properly. Whatever volumes we're setting are not being set correctly. So if we go back here, now we have to remember how all of this shit works, which I don't. Dual contouring. Let's see. Oh, Nightchild. This is dual contouring. Where the hell was I? What was I working on? I don't remember how this works. I've got my Aseprite file here that actually doesn't really help me anymore. This helps a little bit, maybe. So right now it is rendering, but it's incorrect. Yeah, revive. It's not good. So you see, we get these extreme what's the word? Ledge diagonals. Let's use the word diagonals. We get these extreme diagonals when in reality it should be a smooth curvature, right? And then below we get this here where it's like trying to be a smooth curve, but its neighbor is just maxed out. So for whatever reason, the vertices are maxed out in terms of their positioning inside of the voxel. So they're always all or nothing, it seems, more or less. So we need to figure out why that is happening. So, dual contouring. We are setting corner volumes based on the corner matrix. Source minus target. If voxel matrix dot volume contents minus corner volumes is less than 0, then we add a corner. Corners equals true, else corners is false. If corner count is 0 or corner count is 8, then there is no vertex here. Return. Otherwise, we create a QEF. Average normal equals 0. Vert list. I need to get into the headspace of this again, so we have edges, corners. If M0 equals M1, then we continue. Mark, you're the first stream I open in my new apartment. All right, sounds good. I hope the moving process goes smoothly. Thanks for the Ds. If M0 equals M1, then we continue. And that's because the corners are equal. And that means we cannot find an intersection there, because we're trying to find an intersection here for the edge. Otherwise, we set P0 and P1 to corner volumes. It's also, it is wrong right now, by the way, because basically if the world looks like this, in terms of internal logic, and then you have like this, we have volumes, a small amount of volume here. It should actually draw like here. It should draw like this, if anything. But it's drawing like this. Like it's drawing above. So that's incorrect at the moment, for certain. But I think that should just be something to do with this here. Source minus target, right? But the reason it is like that is because I'm creating the average, like I'm creating corners. So every corner currently has a value, and I'm creating that value by taking all of its neighbors and then dividing them by whatever. So here, this corner has a value because this has value, right? And because of that, we end up with, if I'm checking when something is like below, it's getting put out over here. And I'm not really sure how to solve it. When I ran into issues like this kind of before, what I did was that if any of the values that I'm currently trying to average for this corner is 0, then the corner is 0. But I don't know if that's really how I want to do it either. But I think maybe. Let's see. Corner volumes, corner matrix. Damn, that sucks. Um, God damn, that's hard. basically, I was trying to create like an average value for the edges by just setting, like, when I'm checking the edge, when we're outside of the matrix, I'm just gonna use zeros. That way, if like the edge tile is like a 4, then when I'm setting like that voxel's left hand edges that are towards the outside of the map, I would just use zeros. But with the current system, I simply wouldn't do that. Or with the system I need to do. So this needs to be set to go from 0 and what we're gonna say is simply that if x equals 0 or y equals 0 or z equals 0 or x equals world size in voxels dot x minus 1 or y equals world size in voxels dot y minus 1 or z equals world size in voxels dot z minus 1. Then we're simply gonna say corner matrix x, y, z equals 0. Else, we can do something similar to this. Except we don't need to do this initial check here. We can just say if we just line these up, then we can simply delete all of this. And we just do this. Corner matrix. How big is it? Is it world size in voxels plus 1? . I don't know. Whatever. I'm just gonna run it. See if we get an error. Alright, well, we didn't get an error. At the very least. But we're also not getting shit. But the idea is that it is larger than the world size. So we have a corner on the left side there, because we've just taken basically the vertices, and then we shift them to the left, and then we need to add another row on the right and the top and on the upper end of the collection. So that means that this should actually run +1, +1, +1. And this should say +1, +1, +1. Think. I don't know. Oh, boy, how's it going? No, it needs to be just like this. Then we try running it. Index was outside the bounds of the array. Yep. See, it's because should we be accessing the voxel matrix with a minus? I think so. I think this should be -1, not +1. Because we're now skipping the first entry. Like, we're skipping x equals 0. And that means that we're never actually reading the first entry of the voxel matrix otherwise. So this all has to be negative. I guess. We can try. Well, it works, but I don't think that does anything for... Oh, shit. Apparently that did something, but... I don't feel like that did anything. I feel like it's working exactly the same now. Because when I'm looking at this tile and it's highlighted, to me, the way it should work is that this tile... Oh no, we haven't fixed the issue. See, the issue here is that we have all of these. So should I int box 0 how should I do this? What would be the most efficient way of doing this? Temp voxel array equals int 8, no, 4, 4, no, 2, 2, 2. And then we do that, else we're gonna say temp voxel array equals, and then we have these. And then we're gonna do a bunch of really annoying things here. Excuse me? Oh, it just felt like it crashed for some reason, but it didn't. And then we'll do this, right? We're gonna assign all of the values to this array. And then we're gonna say, after each one, we'll say if temp voxel array equals 0, then we're gonna set the current corner matrix to 0 and then continue. And this is what we're gonna do after each one, I think. I don't know. Like, this is kind of shitty in terms of in terms of what it looks like, in my opinion. But I think this is the better way to do it, because then we can interrupt the process. If any of these are 0, otherwise I have to assign all of them, and then I have to do the if check anyway. I don't know. It looks like shit. And then we do that. Otherwise, if all of them have a value, we then do this. If even one of them doesn't have a value, it's a 0. Index was outside of the bounds of the array. Oh, I see, I see. We have to use magic numbers here. Well, since I'm doing minus, this is then 1, 1, 1. And everywhere where there's a minus, that's a 0. Everything else is a 1. No, not there, not there. It's just temp voxel. One, 1, 0. Zero, 1, 0. This is 1, 0, 1. Zero, 0, 1. One, 0, 0. And finally 0, 0, 0. Now what? It looks kind of better and worse at the same time. Like, we can tell that now it's actually representing the volume. This is a 3, this is a 4, 5. However, for whatever reason, it's like we're going from a 4 here to a 3 here, and then it goes up. Why does it go up? I think we are reversing the algorithm somehow. Here in dual contouring, we are source minus target. And then we're checking if this is less than 0. That's corner count. But I feel like this is somehow reversed. Let's try doing that. But now that didn't solve the problem. I think voxel volume 6.5. Yeah, it's it's doing the same thing. Except now it's just like randomly obliterated. Like, what's happening here? What the fuck? So instead of just randomly changing this around, what is actually happening here then? Because we're checking against the corners, right? And I feel like it should be right. But in that case, like, where's the actual volume coming from? Here we're doing density checks. Corner volumes. If density is less than min value. Because we're not actually getting any lean. So this can't be working correctly, I think. Because I am here, which is what's so strange. 4, 5. It's just not correct. It's that simple. Something is just wrong. You can also see that we're not actually seeing the top basically at all. While on these, we can see, like, we can see all 4 triangles here. While here, we can only see 2 triangles. Yet this is the only place where it's like actually kind of leaning at all. It's not leaning anywhere at all otherwise. And here we have nothing for some unknown reason. Is it simply... Yeah, when the voxel volume is greater than 6 or greater than 5, then it ceases to function. Here we're getting some weird stuff. Look. Like it's this one is actually like modified. Why would a value of 6 or higher break it? At what step does that even come into play? Because here we're setting the voxel matrix here. Oh, weird. Opening this is gonna open up like 10,000 voxels, I believe. Actually, more than that. It won't let me. But really, I just wanted the current one. Locals. New list, vert list. And here we have a bunch of vertices that say 7. 7, 7, 7, 7, 1, 7, 7, 1. That's correct. So why is it busted? We're here right now, and we then have to break data, view distance, voxel matrix, export voxel data. And now we're here. The position is 404. The vert field here is set to negative. Huh? What? Like the vert fields are set to 0 there. Ah, it's because the count has been pushed in there. Fair enough. Negative. Okay. But what's happening? Why does it look like this? Why is it not continuing? Am I dumb? What's happening here? I'm pressing step into, and it's just stepping between these, and it's showing this with a little blue icon. Huh? What is happening? It's not continuing inside of this function. It's like it's stepping to the next breakpoint. .303, 402, 402. Like every time I press the button, it's this is just, what is happening? I've never seen it do this before. Why was it red? Oh, what is this even? All right, whatever. Stop. I don't understand what's happening. Let's try reattaching to Unity with only this breakpoint. Why is it doing this? I don't even know how to ask ChatGPT about this. I don't understand. Let's see, the vertex container is contained inside of the voxel, which is a struct. It is breaking on the breakpoint. However, I am unable to further step through the function, the lines of the function. It simply skips ahead to the next, to the same breakpoint, but in the next index in the 3D array. Why can I not step through this function using F11 step into question mark? Holy fuck. What you're seeing is normal when the code you are debugging is being optimized, and in Unity that is very often caused by either burst, IL2CPP, or JIT optimizations. Your symptoms match this exactly. Breakpoint is hit. F11 refuses to step line by line. Execution jumps to the same method, but for the next element in the array. That is exactly what happens when the debugger cannot associate IL with the source lines because the code has been inlined or optimized away. Well, okay. Fuck me then. It's amazing how many just random bullshit things you can just find. Like, I feel like I've been programming for so long, and I've even been using breakpoints, like, and not a lot, but not at all either. I've never run into this. It's crazy. What is this bullshit? Insert a dummy statement so the optimizer leaves it alone. System.diagnostics.debugger.break. Disable burst compilation. Let's see if it's accurate. Does that work? Unity jobs. What the fuck is jobs? Where? Do this first. Unity jobs burst. Disable burst compilation. Okay, but what? That's not a menu. Project settings. Burst AOT settings. Huh? I mean, I'm not using burst, so I kind of doubt, but burst. Oh. Doesn't exist, bro. Aiming is going pretty bad because nothing's working. I was just trying to step through some code, but apparently I can't because it's been optimized. Window analysis. Burst AOE taste. No? Doesn't it doesn't exist. I don't think I have burst. I think I might have disabled burst, I'm not sure. Not there by default. All right, then it might not be burst. It was assuming that it was burst, but we can try just shoveling in this, I guess. It was here. I don't really know what that does. Let me try again. I'm not really sure what I'm trying to step through. Like, I don't even... whenever I run into issues like this, I kind of forget what the hell I was doing. So now I'm not really sure what I was trying to find out anymore. So now we're here. But no, it's doing the same thing again. Anyway, you can see I'm pressing step in right now. And the position 404, 404, 402. So it's unable to step through. So it's still optimizing, so that didn't really change anything. Move the method outside the struct. No. Temporarily convert the struct to a class. Struct inlining by the C# compiler. Your method is inside a struct, and it's inside a tight loop. C# sometimes aggressively inlines struct methods, which breaks the ability to step. Anyway. What I was trying to find out, I guess, is whether the vertices are, like, correct. here we're going through the vertex offset list. And this is kind of what I wanted to be able to test, to check, to see what it's actually assigning here. But if we simply uncheck these and we go back here and we break here again. So I already checked this, so it doesn't matter. We can see the vert list here, right? And here we have a vertex. Like, I wish I can't. Oh, there. This is the position. 307 is the position. And here we have we have 017 717 007 707. So 307 kind of makes sense because it's between 0 and 7 and it's between 0 and 1, I think. So I do think that makes sense. And I think the vertices also make sense. And then here, we're doing export voxel data. And this is where I'm setting vert bit field 0, 1, and 2. And then we're assigning that here. In the voxel data, vert bit field 0, 1, 2. And then in here, we are fetching vertices I'm only using up to 4. These 3 are unused. Right now I have a try count of 1, 3, and 4. This is the vertex count. We have a vertex count 2, 3. What is the idea here? Yeah, okay. So the count is... Count is vertex offset list dot count. So it's +1 because we are also counting the voxel itself, or the voxel position. So this is a count of 3 because we have 2 vertices or 2 voxels plus the origin that we're checking. So that's 3. That means we have 3 vertices, which means we have 1 triangle. And if we have a count of 4, that means we have 4 vertices, which means I have it set to try count equals 3 here. But how is that true? Isn't it 2? It goes 1, 2, 4. Yeah, 3 triangles doesn't make any sense. Does it? No. But I don't think try count necessarily matters. Does it? Try count. It might. But I don't think it's gonna solve the problem. But let's see if there's any difference at all. No, not really. It literally didn't change a single thing. But this is what's so weird. Why is it... Why is it sometimes actually doing things and others times it's not? Is it just this that's busted somehow? Because this is all I'm doing. I'm just... If try count equals 4, then we're checking try 3. That's it. But that means that this try here is messed up. Get triangles. 102. Hello, Kenny. How's it going? But this is... Is it this old? I think this is wrong. I think I made it to this point, and then I started making changes on the C# side, and I never got back to change this. Because what I think is happening right now is that, or the way this should work, is that this voxel should contain a central point, and it should also contain its edges. Or rather, its corners. Right now, I think these are its edges? But it's also not. Like, if we attach again, and we start it, we can see here that the vert list 017, 717, 007, 707. These are corners, right? And I feel like locals, vert list. Zero 17 0 or 1 or 017 007, but this has a vert list count of 3. I don't actually know how that happens. I mean, kind of. I think that's a corner. That's like a diagonal corner, I think. Zero 005, 005, 0737, 037. Like, all of these are corners. So if we look at this vert list here, maybe I'm just doing this in the wrong order or something. Because right now we're doing this. We have the central one here. And then number 1 is 037. So that's this. That's 0. 0, 3, 7. And it's got like it's got a it's here or something. That's 0. Next one is 7, 3, 7, which is here. This is 1. It's also there. Next one is 0, 0, 5. That's not a corner. I mean, it kind of is, but it's like down here or something. But it's over here. Well, yeah. And then the last one is 0, 05. 7, 05. That's also over there. That's 3. And P is 316. That's 316. That's like over here somewhere. So this is actually kind of correct. And then if this is 1, or if this is 0, then what am I doing right now? The first triangle is 1, 0, 2. So I'm making the first triangle be from here to there to there. The next one is 1, 3, 0. 1, 3, 0. That's just not right. That's just not right. What? 1? Wait, hold on. This is super confusing. This is 1. This is 0. This is that's 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. And this is 0. Okay, so what's happening here is we're making triangles from 1, which is this, to 0, to 2. That works, but it's weird. The next one is 1, 3, 0. 1, 3, 0. That works. The next one is 3, 4, 0. 3, 4, 0. That works. Next one is 0, 4, 2. Like that, like that. I mean, it works, right? I don't know if I think it's correct. Because I think it should be 0 to 1. Let's duplicate this and just try to change. But I don't think this fixes anything either, unfortunately. But we can try doing this differently anyway. 0 to 1. Right? And then this should be 3, 0, 1. Down here, this should be 3, 4, 0. And that's what it is. Next one should be, I'm not sure, but 4, 2, 0. I think maybe. But I think that probably only really matters for the UV for triangles or for textures. And we're not there yet. So I don't think this actually matters. Because the issue right now is that we are not actually drawing between values that really are different from each other. Yeah, that changed literally nothing. It didn't even fix the ones that are broken. So far, we have done nothing. We have made no progress. These values, I don't understand why. It's not really working. Because quite frankly, it should just work right now. Because it's not that complex. We're just creating vertices. And then we just tie them together. So for whatever reason, the vertices are like always equal to each other. Except they're not, right? Like they have their... The Y and the X and the... Or they have the X and the Z that are all different, but the Y is always the same. Except in like other like weird cases. XYZ. XYZ. Yeah, I kind of wish I could access that. And we temporarily say that voxel is a class without the entire thing breaking. I just have a feeling that there's just some bullshit going on. I don't know. I feel like it's like it's like some issue with lists or references or something. Yeah, stop. There. Because the values seem correct before we get to that point. So is it an issue with me? I did the breakpoint not trigger. Hello? Do you not see the breakpoint? Hello? Did I fuck up? I'm gonna restart. Might have fucked up the connection. Step. Oh, okay, thank you. I need to pee. So what do we have here? We have vertex offset list. It's only a count of 4. What's going on? Is this shit null? Like, what's happening? Yeah, see, this is what I mean. Let's say new list. Vector 3 int. And then we do this here. Right? And then here, because what I was trying to do down here is I'm creating a new list and sending it in and then assigning it. But I think what's happening is that this is a new list. I mean, it should work. Like, it's weird because it works, but it also doesn't work, right? So it should get sent in as a new list, as a copy of vert list. But what I think is happening is that I'm assigning that list but the list is just a reference. So when we continue from here, the new list is then discarded because it doesn't exist. And because the other one is just a reference to this list, that's like also discarded because it's now not pointing to anything that exists anymore or something like that. So if we just try to send in vert list and then inside we create a copy of it. I don't know, maybe I'm not even creating a copy correctly. Maybe I need to do like 2 lists or something. But I think doing the new list parentheses and putting the list inside should work. But let's just try to breakpoint it right away. And see if we can actually read the values, because that's also interesting. Hello? Oh yeah, this is gonna take like 4 times as long now, I think, because the voxels are a class instead of a struct. Four times as long might not be enough either. Assuming I don't have to just cancel it or kill the process. This is taking a long ass time, man. I do have it set a little high now. Having the voxels set as classes is not very good. Unity. Not responding. It might just have had something to do with the fact that it was attached to Unity, or I don't fucking know. Some BS. Scene backups from a previous editor session has been detected. Your scene might have been backed up when an editor instance did not close correctly. Do you want to copy and preserve these backups? Huh? Not really? Yeah, I've never seen that before. And I haven't even updated Unity in like half a year. Well, maybe not half a year, but like 3 months at least. Switch tab row style. Yep. Vertex container. Yep. Attach. And I don't think the scene was unsaved either. That's why I was like kind of confused. So it's only a view distance of 4. Now let's set it to 1, I guess. And now we're here. So can we read this now? No. What is going on? Come on. Open this shit up. Look, what is happening? So there it says vertex offset list count equals 4. But when I try to look at it, one or more errors occurred on the count. What if we go... What if we look at it here? No, it's fucked. But it's setting count to 4. I don't understand. Oh, but now we're back. Now we're back to being unable to step through it, even though the voxel is a class. I wish it would just not optimize this or something, like... How to Unity, how to disable loop compile optimization. Is it the JNet? Is it the net JIT compiler that's being used? Unity 6000 compiler. C# compiler Roslyn. Whoa, what? Mono IL2 CPP scripting backends. Well, I'm not using that, right? I'm not even using mono. Really. But, I mean, I think I am. That's just like default. How can... I don't have burst. I am not using the scripting backend, I think. How can I stop Unity from optimizing a for loop so that I can step through a function within the function within the struct type we are iterating through in the for loop? I have tried setting the struct to a class. It worked once, though. Like, it worked once. Why is it not working anymore? If we look at this, we're in the vertex container. So if we look at the vertex container, the vertex container doesn't actually have export voxel data. We are currently here, right? So what if we set it to a breakpoint here? All right, now we're here. The voxel matrix. This break map controller, we have a voxel matrix. Type voxel. That doesn't help me. Because I'm worried that I have the same issue I had before. Where, no, that wasn't related to this. That was, I keep going back to that, but I had that issue where I had, also it's not starting, but I have this corners. I had this, right? The vertex offsets. These were set to like -4, +4, or whatever. And after I changed it, it refused to change to what I wanted it to be. But the reason it didn't work was because it was actually, it got initialized to -4 and 4s in the inspector. And because of that, the inspector was overriding the code. And I keep going back to thinking that it was actually a bug, when it was actually not really a bug. It was just unfortunate inspector interaction. So now I'm like, okay, is the voxel actually a class right now, or is it like somehow a struct? No, I mean, it says that it's class, right? But apparently the voxel being a class is so insane that even with the smallest map size, we can't actually make it to execution. You could make it private or non-serialized, and you can be sure the inspector isn't overriding any values, as it's not being serialized like is if it's public. Yeah, that's one way you can do it, but right now the issue is just the class. Like I was thinking before, I was thinking it was like some kind of bug with attaching that caused it to like somehow lose connection or like semi-corrupt some caches or something, and it was like that was like the issue. But now I'm just changing the voxel from being a struct to a class, and that wouldn't end up with the same kind of behavior in the inspector. But unfortunately, it seems to crash every time. You can explicitly disable optimization and inlining on the method. All right. I'm gonna reload the VS instance as well, and then we go to Voxel and we change it back to a struct, and then in here we're gonna say using system.runtime.compiler services. This isn't necessarily something that works because you don't actually have access to everything from system. And we try doing that. We can try just running it without attaching. That seems to work just fine. It doesn't work, but it does run. And now I don't remember what I was trying to really find out anymore again. Oh boy. Play. So here we can now open this vertex. No. If vertex does not equal null. Wait, hold on. Are you shitting me? It's doing this fucking garbage here too? Hello? What is happening? Oh, that's why! It's because it's parallel! It's parallel! Holy shit, that explains everything! My god! God damn! There we go! Okay. That explains it. It doesn't have access to the threads. Yep. That was like an hour. No, I didn't even. I mean, I wasn't even looking at it. I was like down here. And now it works. It just works. We can disable it there, but we can maybe check. Well, whatever. Let's just continue. Now we're in here. Now we have a vertex offset list here. 707, 017, 007. Oh, we can step the position 207. I don't know if the fact that they are ints here and then become uints might have something to do with something, but I kind of don't think so. And here we are setting these values here. We're setting 0 at the moment. And then we set 1. But unfortunately, I think no, we are entering here. So here we now have 007, and this is set to 448. And this is 7, 7. So this is set to 7 right now. Yeah, that's fine. Which to me means that it's just correct. So here we're doing 0, 1, and 2 are being baked into vert field 0. And then 3, 4, and 5 are being baked into vert field 1. And then etc, etc. Right now we are at I3. So that's 707. I4. Oh yeah, it's no. It's that was 007. So now it's 7. Yeah. I mean, it looks just fine, right? I don't see the issue. That all seems just fine. But all we're ending up with is this. However, I did have issues with the diagonals before, so let's try switching it back to a larger world again. So we can see what that looks like now. Now that I have changed... I don't even know what I've changed. I don't think I've really changed much. But when you set it to 1, it's almost all just diagonals. Corners. So this is where we're at now. but it's still wrong here. Like if you look at this is voxel volume 3 and this is 4, and it's just higher here. And the further we go over here, the lower the voxel volume is, the higher it is. And you can see here, it says voxel volume 4. Yet all the offsets have a Y value of 1. And we go over here. Here it says 3. And you see the Y value goes up from 1 to 3. When the voxel volume goes down. So there is, like, I feel like the core of the issue is down here somewhere. Here, for example, if source minus target, if this is less than 0, then we have a corner. But this seems to work just fine. But I feel like it might be this here. P1 minus P0. Maybe? Maybe I need to reverse these two. For whatever reason. If density is less than min value. Intersection equals vertex positions plus vertex offsets minus vertex offsets times t. Vert add. Like this here could be a 2. Should this be C0? C1? Because the intersection is just incorrect. It's like it's just straight up reversed. So I guess we'll attach it there. See if we can figure anything out. So, do I have access to the current voxel? Kind of not really. No, here we go. Source volume. The volume is 5. So what do we end up with here with a volume of 5? Intersection. 1. C1 is 5, C0 is 4. Vertex positions C0, 4. I feel like that's correct though. But this is like... We are currently at int I5. Int I7. (717). The current vert list is 017717 with a volume of 5. Zero zero 707. This is just weird. And here we don't have a vert list. Let's do that. Vert list 2, 3. Right, so right now we have a vert list of 4 with in this scenario the y is basically the volume of each corner, so they're all at 1100. And if we then go if we then check the source volume, it says 5. So the volume of the source is 5, yet the volume of the corners is 0 to 1 on all sides. That does not make sense. So then here we are popping the QEF solve, and then we end up with 307. Like, the only way I could see this at all is if its neighbors are all empty. And somehow this is like a cone. I think this is just wrong somehow. Something here is not correct. But I don't know what it is. What is n? N is a normal. Then here we get an intersection. That's 707. The current source volume is 5 again. Let's find another value. 4. Let's find a much different value. 3. I guess. Then we get an intersection of 737. Zero, 5. (705). So the current volume is a 3, and we get 3300. He is 316. But see, like, I get a lot of these that are actually not flat. So why is everything that I'm seeing flat? can get rid of that one. 337. 316. Two. We found a 2. The vert list at a 2. 4400. Three to 5. But I feel like all of the ones that I've seen here should work. So why does it not? Is it here or is it in the shader? Source volume 1. Corner count 2. What the fuck is corner count 2? Seven, 6. Let's see, so we're currently at C0, 4, and C1, 7. So that means 007, (101) 001, 101. That becomes negative 100. There, yeah. Then vertex positions 4 is 007. Yeah, looking at Lynn's code doesn't help at all because he's not doing any of this really. I made this stuff up myself. Unfortunately. T is 6. Like, am I stupid? Vertex offsets C1 is 7. That's 101. This is 4. That's 001. Yeah. P1 is 0. This is 4. So that's negative 4. Because here we're getting a negative, right? And what this means to me is that we're actually moving to the left. I think. Like, I don't know if this feels right to me. Actually, necessarily. Fuck. But I think perhaps the T should reverse it somehow. Like, this here the N is, I think the N might be correct. I'm not sure if it is. But we are multiplying this new vertex that we're getting here by -4. And because of that, we get a negative value. And then it's normalized, which turns it into -1. only. Yet here I'm doing the same thing with the vertex offsets, but I don't have like anything to turn it negative. Which means that we have a vertex position of 4 here, which is 007. And then we're trying to add a value to that, which then ends up being a 6. While in reality, it should probably be a 1. But like, not necessarily. I don't know. I think I might have to go through this from scratch and figure out what the hell we're doing here logically. I'm not sure it'll be enough to just flip something. It might be, but the issue is that when we look at the result, it's not just flipped. Like, there's so much else going on. All of the edges and stuff are just completely busted, right? And it's not so easy to just reverse it here either. Because we've got T, which is 6. I mean, we could try saying 7 minus T. And see what happens. His 7 should be the max value. So if I just reverse that, then that would become a 1 there instead. So we can see what that does. But it might also be a scenario where simply it's not that easy. Did that one change do all of this? What did I do to pause this? Like, yeah, we unparalleled, but was that all? Because that wouldn't change how that works. Was that this that we did here? I find that hard to believe as well. Was it this? I'm so confused. What was that? Like, what did I change? That didn't make any difference, apparently. I'm not convinced. If the count is 4... Yeah, that might be 3, actually. Should it be? Because the idea is that if we have a count of 5 vertices, that's a flat surface. If it's a count of 3, or if it's a count of 4, that means that it's a triangle diagonal. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then a central one. And in that case, we might end up with 3 triangles. So that might be correct that it's 3. And then 2, that's just a triangle. That might be accurate. But what did I change? I wish I hadn't restarted the thing. What did I change? I don't remember really changing anything. The only thing I feel like I changed was this. How we send the offset list there. Otherwise, like in the voxel, I don't feel like I did anything. Is this flipped still? That's source. This should not be flipped here. And I don't think I flipped anything here at all. I didn't touch this. This is untouched. This is untouched. Is this all just... this? What did I change to cause this? What the fuck? I'm gonna have to go through the VOD for this. It was the Uint! It was the Uint! It was the Uint! It was the fucking Uint! Okay, Uint! You. Not sure I've seen you smile before. Okay. Not a lot to smile about. Uint. Voxel data. Uint. That means these should actually also be Uints. Uint. U. But yes. It wasn't actually a problem solved. It was actually just finding out that it was bullshit and it was just not working because of a bullshit reason. And now it still doesn't work. It just doesn't work in a different way. Okay. Any error? No? All right, it didn't change anything. Nothing. Get triangles. Out. Int try count. Triangle consists of floats. These are all uints. Let's try setting this to 7 minus t again, now that we have figured out why it was all blue, because it was not uints. So what I want to see is that the steps actually make sense. And if we look here now, it says 4, 3, 3, 2. But it's still like, what is it? What is happening here? Like, look at this. Huh? Huh? Uh, 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 uh. Okay, so here it says 5, but if we go over here... Wait, oh, what? For some reason, here it doesn't have... Like, here it actually says that it has a vertex. But I don't understand this, by the way. Like, why is it like this here? Why is what? It's not even a seam or anything. It's just fucked. You see, it's just like randomly folding into itself. And then here, it just doesn't have any... Like, when I'm flying around in the air here, it's like, yeah, voxel volume is 0. There are no vertices here. Then we go down here, and it's like... voxel volume 6. What? It's literally the same as this one here. Yet for some reason... looks like that. Dude, it's just so broken. I don't understand. World size in voxels. Set voxel, new voxel. If p noise excess times 7 is greater than 7, then 7, else p noise excess times 7. Like, is it the parallelization that's broken? Is it this? How high up am I? No, it shouldn't be that either. Because I'm only at 36. But yes, Charles, this is just a Minecraft world. If I switch this over... Oh shit, it's actually the data is missing. It is actually missing data. What? Why is the data missing? Like, it's just straight up busted. Huh? I'm gonna remove the parallelization. I don't know. I don't understand what's happening. The parallel is making it too hard to understand if it's the multi-threading or not. So this would be 4. World size in voxels Z. 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 Like that. We have another one. I don't think so. It's basically a Minecraft world. Minecraft consists of voxels. A voxel is a 3D pixel. It's just a point in space that has a color. No, it's still busted. So weird. It's extra weird because it wasn't busted before. Is it the corner stuff? And what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to make Minecraft blocks that basically have volume, so that you can have like a dirt block that has... It has a volume between 1 and 8. And I'm then trying to make it so that when its neighbors are also dirt blocks, it's going to connect them smoothly. So you get smooth terrain based on what the Minecraft block contains. So it's not blocky anymore. It should just be smooth terrain. And that's what I'm trying to do here, but it's being a huge bitch. Let's try swapping this back again then. See, does this give us back the random thingies? I don't understand how it's like culling all these just random rings. It doesn't make any logical sense. Okay, that brings us back some of it, right? But not all of it, but some of it. But even so, it's fucked. You can see it's just all straight. Yeah, making a Minecraft clone is super easy. And I'm trying to smooth out the terrain, which, like, I just don't understand why it's being such a bitch. This has a voxel volume of 1. Okay, if we look at this here, this has a voxel volume of 1. Its vert positions are 3, 1, 3. That's the central one. You can see it's kind of bent into the middle there. It's this 1 there. And then we have 0, 2, 0. That's these two on this side. Here and here. They are set to 2. But it doesn't really, like, huh? Okay, yeah, this one is the same height as those two. So this one here is this one. No, this one. 727. So it's just higher. And over here, it's lower. So we have 2 lower vertices here. And it's creating, like, it looks like a little plate. But this here should be 0. It should just be all the way down. Right? But no. And this one actually has a voxel volume of 0. But all of the vert values are all 0, 0, 0, 0. And if we look here, it's just 0 everywhere. Because the voxel volume is 0. I feel what might be happening somehow is that we are still... It's still kind of like a shell. I think this is what's happening. If we look at this drawing again here, it's supposed to be like the blue line, right? But what's happening is that it's like checking this down here. Somehow. It doesn't really make sense to me because But it's like it's creating terrain that looks like this. And here, it's like flat against whatever exists below. Or here it would even be like this, right? And then here it's like this. Here it's like this. Because if you have one voxel here, it's actually going to create a terrain, like the terrain is going to be created in the surrounding tiles. And if all of these are empty, we're going to get like a skin like this outside. And I feel like that's what's happening. We're getting this weird skin that's all flat because every side is flat. Because it's like it's empty somehow. And I don't know, it's weird. It's the entire point. What am I, this is the old one. I don't want to use this one because it is broken. I want to use this new one, but the new one might be broken too. So let's do that and let's launch it again and then let's take a look. But what's happening there now is that it's just like, they don't exist. Like at all. You see? Now you have these rings that don't exist. But for these here, this makes more sense now. It makes more sense for the ones that are visible, but not all of them. You see, here, for example, it's just, why is it going down here? Like, what is happening here? But here, it's going down here. But it's going down, you know, like a flat, like it's a flat stairway. When these should be connected like this together. But you can see here, the vert offsets here are all 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. And the volume of the voxel is 4. So it doesn't even make sense. Where does the 6 come from? And here the voxel volume goes down to 3, and then all of the values go down to 4. Here there's 1, 5 somehow. Which is weird because we get a 5 in this direction. In that direction, there's a... This voxel is smaller than this, so it's getting a higher value there. But I think it's just fundamentally broken. Like, some of the math is fundamentally broken. And that's just how it is. But it's also really weird that this here isn't really working. But how can this cause that? Dual contouring. Have a theory. I think I understand. So what's happening right now is that I am setting corners, right? Like I'm setting the average. Is there any color that works here? Barely. I'm setting the corners, right? And what's happening is that right now I'm setting the corner to 0 if any of the corners it's checking is empty. Which means that here, for example, we won't get corners there. We'll get corners. This is not a corner. We'll get a corner here and here and here and here. And that's it. So if I'm trying to set a corner here, then this one is empty. This corner is now 0. But that doesn't work either. Right? But if I don't do it the way I'm doing now, where I'm culling it if there's a 0, then what happens is that we end up with scenarios where this corner and this corner, because there's value down here, these corners have value now, right? It's not 0 until we're all the way out here. And the way the algorithm works is that we check if the value like down here is lower than the value up here. And if it is, then that means that we have an edge going through it, pretty much. And I don't want that. So the question is, how do I do this? I feel like we might need to add another like variable to the whole thing, but not really. Because I feel like this needs to be able to exist. Because like, let's say that you have one tile just floating in space that's actually just not a full, like it's not full. It's just a little bit in it, right? How do I render that if I can't put any corners here? Right, so like this corner, this corner, this corner, these corners have to have value for this to be visible. But the same thing is really true here. Like this and this and this and this, it needs to have value. No, what I'm doing is I'm trying to check for, I'm creating average values. This is a little complicated, but basically the way the system works is that it's designed to use density. Like, you're supposed to have a field like this. Kind of. And then you create blocks based on, like, let's say you're looking for a density value of like 7. And only a few of these blocks actually fit that criteria. That way, we're trying to create a shape around every area that's 7. So if we check here, this might be like a 5, and then in here it's 7. That means that we end up with some kind of shape around this. But it becomes based a little bit on the difference between the two. So if this is 5 and this is 7, we might get like something like this, or that moves us around the block or around the data. This is really used to the original idea is used to take like what is it? Is it a CRT? A CT scan. Yeah, it is a CT scan. That kind of data, medical data. So it might have like a certain amount of like density for bone tissue and another certain density for like flesh. And what you want is for the program to create like a 3D model out of things that are of a certain density. So then you just set it to a threshold, and then it creates like a 3D model out of your bones. And I'm using the same method to create a smooth model of the ground based on just like Minecraft blocks that I've added volume to. It's a little, you know, hard to wrap your head around in the beginning, but that's basically the idea. So what I'm doing, because it's a little weird, I don't really have this density kind of like a map. So I only have each individual voxel just has a volume. But it doesn't really work that well. So what I'm doing is I am creating another map, kinda. where I'm taking all of the volumes here, and some of these might be full, some of them are like half full or whatever, that or like this or like whatever, and I'm creating a map of corners so that this corner here contains the average value of these four. So this has 7, 7, like a 3 and a 4. So that's gonna be like, I don't know, maybe like a 5. So this is 5. And this might be 6. Here is 7. 7. And this here should be 0. In my opinion, this should be 0, but I'm not really sure how to set it to 0. And this could be like a 4. Or a 3 even. And then when I'm checking each voxel, the way it works is that I'm checking the volume of the voxel itself, and I'm then comparing it to the edges. And if let's see. Yeah, so the volume here might be like 3. Or it might be, yeah, let's say it's 3, right? Let's say this is 3 in the center. That's the volume of the voxel itself. We then subtract 5 from 3. Then we get a negative value. And what that means is that this corner is inside of the shape. Like, you see, this is the terrain, and the terrain is what we're trying to create like a contour around. And because 3 minus 5 is negative, we then create, we then have a corner here. 3 minus 3 is 0, so that's not actually a corner. But we have a corner here. 3 minus 0 is 3, that's a positive value, so that's not a corner. 3 minus 0, it's not a corner. So we have a corner here. And then using the values here, we can use the algorithm to figure out the lean of the surface here. And then we create like a surface there that we can then render. So this is what the result that I need to be able to get. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe actually, like, I don't know. I feel like we can't skip it. But yeah, maybe you were right, actually. Maybe you're a genius. Here, we're fetching the source volume. And what if we just fetch that up here and we say if source volume equals 0, then we return. So we can only do this. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Because if that's the case, then we can't create the shell here. Because the shell is created in this and this. And these are all zeros. I'm actually wondering why the map appears as flat squares if they're voxels. Yes, we're creating it's like this. We're creating the outer shell. But the reason they're flat squares is because it's not working. There. So you see they're supposed to connect to each other and create like a perfect hill. But right now, for whatever reason, it's just flat, 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 flat. And I don't really know why. I can imagine there are thousands of submerged voxels that would drain all the processing power it rendered. Yeah, well, in no scenario would you render anything that's not visible, really. That's like one of the most basic principles of 3D rendering. Culling things that are not visible. So when you're doing I'm doing something called ray marching. So there's ray marching, and well, I guess ray tracing is a different thing too. And then you have meshing, and creating a mesh just means that you basically have everything pre-made, and therefore you know where like every triangle is in the scene. And all you have to do then is just say that, oh, okay, this triangle over here is facing in the wrong direction. Then we don't render it, more or less. I'm sure there's more to it. I actually don't know that much about actual mesh rendering methods, but I'm using ray marching, and what that means is that we don't have that. We just have like raw voxel data in like a container, and then I send out rays for each pixel on the screen that then just shoot out into this data container and then traverse through it until it finds information to collide with, and then we read that information and then we draw it on the screen. So it's simpler, and it's also harder in some ways. But right now I'm basically ending up with the hybrid of that, because I have to create a mesh on the fly in order to... Well, not necessarily on the fly, but I basically have to create a mesh out of the voxel data that I can then read when the rays collide with a voxel, or it collides with something that contains the information from this. Mesh just manually determining every facet and slope. Yeah, exactly. Well, here I'm trying to do it in a more dynamic fashion, where we can just generate a world. I'm using Perlin noise right now. Which is a classic. It looks like this. And then you just use the value here. Where it's darker, it's the world is lower. Where it's brighter, the world is higher. And that way you can just create terrain, right? And then I'm also using this to create like the volume in the voxels, because the volume can only be 7, but if the volume on this, like this pixel here, is like 120, that means that we're basically 17 blocks high. But then it has decimals, and then I take the decimals, like minus 17, multiply that by 7, which is my maximum volume, and then that becomes 1. Then I know that, okay, the topmost voxel on that little like column has 1 in it. And that is then going to determine how the world like slopes. So this is procedural generation then, right? Yeah. Okay, so this doesn't work. But I think we have to stop there. I think I'm more or less back to understanding where I was and what we're doing, but I don't really know the solution here, because I feel like there are some edge cases that makes this really difficult. Like here, there needs to be corners that have value, while here, if this corner has value, then it becomes fucked. Because here, this voxel is empty, but we need to be able to render there in order to be able to render this box here. I think the way I'm doing this might not work. I think it might have to be like this, and we have to end up with this scenario here. That might be what we end up with. Which is okay, I suppose. I just don't necessarily like it. Because it leaves so much space here. And there's also the question of like, if this here contains like this side here, what if I want to put something in here? Like, what if I want to put another object in here that is like different? How is this going to be rendered then? I don't know. But I think the terrain and like buildings, for example, would need different systems to render. because a building needs to be able to have sharp edges, and I also think it needs to be able to have it needs to be able to just have things that are like one voxel in size, and it doesn't spill over into the nearby voxels in order to render it. Because that's the issue, right, with dual contouring, that it's really just turning each voxel into a vertex. So each voxel is just kind of like a point, and then we're supposed to just connect them together like this in order to create the surface. But that means that you can't just have one surface like that, that's a cube, and then this is like actually rendered within the voxel itself as a cube. That's why it's gonna end up being like outside of it. Boy, yeah. Thinking a building needs to be on flat ground? More or less, but there are many ways you can do things, like you can create, like, you can put objects in the world that are also voxels, but it's like when you send your ray through the world, it can enter a voxel and find like if it's ground and see if it collides with that. But you can also have like a tree, and the tree has like an area, and if the ray enters that area, it's kind of like it enters a different, like a new world, and then the ray continues inside of that world relative to like the rotation of that tree's area. You have to like recalculate the direction of the ray to the tree's like local rotation, and then exit it if it misses. And you can do that same thing with like buildings and stuff, so you can create like a building that can be rotated anyway, but it's not really great because is everything just gonna be rotated in a certain way? Like every single, like, how's that gonna work? Is everything gonna be within this area in your house? And everything has to then be like aligned to your house's kind of voxel grid, and I don't know, it's weird. I might just use some kind of like you're just locked to the pixel or to the voxel grid. Oh, we'll deal with that after I figure out how to draw terrain. Anyway, that'll be that. I'm gonna go eat some yogurt. Until next time, thanks for hanging out. Have a good night. Bye bye.